Righto, well, welcome back to Jeep Diff rebuild part 5, I think, maybe 4, I can't remember what we're up to. We've pulled this all apart. The diff's, I think, just a refresher. It came with 4 11s in it. We changed it to 532s, blew that up in the high country, changed it to 532s, blew that up in the high country, went back to 4 11s and haven't broken it, but now we're going to 488s in the rear with air lockers instead of the factory e-lockers to try and make this thing more bulletproof, more reliable, and just turn it into an absolute weapon off-road to handle the 37s, the supercharger, the tune, all that sort of stuff. So been doing a little bit of working in the dark. So we've got the 488 crown wheel and pinion all set up on the ARB e-lockers. So that's the little air pipe that goes to the locker assembly to lock in the diff center. That's the old factory 411, and you can see it's taken a pounding. Like, you can see how when it's broken in the past, it's chewed that diff center up and just busted the electromagnet for the e-locker and stuff. That's the factory part. So we're going to get this in, get it all set up. Pinion's got to go in, set up the diff clearances and the backlashes and all that sort of stuff. Make sure we've got a nice contact patch on the teeth in the crown wheel and pinion, and hopefully wire in the air side of it. We've got some little jumper cables here that are going to that little jigger there that's going to tell the car, because it's a Jeep, we've got to trick it. We've got to tell it that it hasn't got, that it's still got an e-locker and not an air locker. And fingers crossed, everything will work on this puppy. So it's a Jeep. I don't want to look too depressed about it, but we're going to get it going. We'll make it sweet, and you'll see this thing back on the road real soon. Installed the pinion, because it's a whole new diff center, pinion, crown wheel, bearings and everything. I've got to get the pinion location correct. I've got to get the crown wheel location correct so that we get a nice contact patch on the teeth between the crown wheel and pinion. Now I've put all that together without the seal in there, so I've got a little bit of preload on those bearings in there, which means our crown wheel's set up. Now what we've got to do is I'm going to just throw the crown wheel in there now and just make sure the pinion distance is set correctly. So that's shimmed in there now. If that's too far in or too far out, I need to adjust it with more or less shims to match the crown wheel piece. So I haven't put the seal in on the front of that, just so we can pull it apart and put it back together. But it's pretty fiddly at this point to try and get it all set up. But yeah, we'll get there. It takes a bit of time. Righto, let's just get something straight. Every now and then things don't go to plan. And it's not because anything's wrong, it's just that some days you're just having a bad day. And right about now, and Ruben's not here, which is probably a good thing because I'll just be getting cranky and angry. Sometimes you just got to stop, take a deep breath and go, you know what, I'm going to have a cup of tea and just chill out for 10 minutes. And I reckon that's where I am right now. So give me 10 and I'll be back.
I tell you what, I'm in absolute awe. I'm standing on the top of Blue Rag here in Victorian High Country. Now I've just driven down from Toowoomba in my Jeep. It's just had a tune, had a supercharger, These guys are flash diesel, sorted all that out. Now, it's sometimes scary travelling when you've had your car played with, but with these guys, my car is running an absolute treat, and it's using no fuel compared to what it was before, and it's like just got way more power. So guys, check out the flash diesel dealers near you and book your car in, because you won't regret it.
Okay, so we want a bit of preload on all our bearings. Not too much, not too little. You don't want end float. So we want preload on both of these bearings here, but we also want to have a little bit of clearance on our crown wheel and pinion, which is called backlash. So, and to do that, we move through the shims. We either move the crown wheel this way to get more backlash, or this way to make it tighter. At the moment, I'm a touch too tight, so I'll take basically take a shim out of this side and match it on this side to move it that way. Now, I'm happy with that. Actually, that might be all right there, tell a lie. So you can just see a little bit of backlash there, just a touch of it. You can feel it just nice. I'm going to put the caps on there, and we'll have a look and see exactly how we're looking. So we'll just get the caps on there, let the pressure off the diff spreader. So it's too tight. Now once we've taken the diff spreader out and tightened the caps up, we've got quite a bit of preload on there, and it's very, very tight to turn. So what I'll need to do now is I'll take a shim out of this side. So the actual take a shim out, we'll just take a bit of preload off and allow the pinion to move, or the crown wheel to move this way, and give us a little bit of more freedom in there. Just trying to check our contact patch for our teeth. So every diff will leave a wear mark or have a surface on the tooth of the crown wheel and the pinion that actually comes in contact. Now you want to get a nice even sort of contact patch on your teeth, not too little, not too much, that it actually enables the pinion to actually transfer torque and load into the crown wheel, which then goes out to your wheels. So if you haven't got a decent contact patch, it'll rattle and wear and that sort of stuff. If it's too tight or too big, you've got it too tight. So we're just trying to get that right and see where we're at. So because we've changed the pinion depth, it'll change where the crown wheel sits on the pinion, which will make our backlash a little bit different. We'll just make everything sit a little bit different for the time being. We'll bolt it up and see where our see how it feels. Get a gauge on where we've got to go. Well, it's been a bit of a journey today. Finally got this centre in the rear all done. And like I said before, we were starting from scratch with setup. So diff centre's all done. Contact patch for our teeth contact's awesome. We've got the airline all run through for the air locker now. So we've gone from an E-locker to a air locker, ARB air locker, so hopefully that should be solid. So as far as the back end's concerned now, we've got Dana 60 chrome moly axles to go into it, and then once that's done, we can put the whole back end together, put the cover on, and put the airlines in and switch it all up, and happy days. Then onto the front. So we'll do that yeah, for tomorrow, get that done. It's going to be the same process as the rear because everything's from scratch in the front as well as the rear. Now we've got to match the 4/8/8 in the front. Obviously we don't want two different diff ratios, front and rear, otherwise it will go bad. But yeah, we're going to call it a day, get into it tomorrow and have another crack at it.
If you haven't got your Christmas present sorted for your friends and family, don't stress. Just jump onto the DMW website and go to our store because we have some mad bundles on sale right now. This is one, you get a really cool t-shirt, you get 2 stubby coolers with magnets and Velcro in them, and you get a tumbler for keeping your hot drinks hot and your cold drinks cold. The kicker to this is you get 6 entries into the maddest Jeep build going on in Australia right now. Guys, jump on it before we sell out.
Hey guys, we're back into it for another day. Rear diff was in yesterday. We've got the front one to go in today. We've got upgraded axles to go in. That's just a little half shaft that sits in the front diff and joins up with the other bits. Full chrome molly going in it. 4/8/8 coming in the front to match the rear. Full setup again, so similar to yesterday, we've got set pinion depth and preload, then we've got to set up the crown wheel preload and carrier bearing preload, all that sort of stuff. So a bit on today, but we'll get it done. Get this thing back on the road, get it out of the workshop, get Ruben his four-wheel drive back so we can go and do stuff again, and fingers crossed. I'm overdoing diffs, Ruben. I'm not doing any more diffs on this thing, so don't break it. I think 4 times I'm up to 4. So anyway, it's all part of the fun. Joys of four-wheel driving and R&D and stuff, but yeah, we'll get this thing underway, get it done, and happy days. What I'm doing, I'm getting the pinion bearings in and getting the pinion into place. That lets us to get the crown wheel and the diff center in. We'll do that later, but just got that nice and free, just right where we need it so we can get our center in there and get our carrier bearing preload right, our contact patch or our teeth pattern on our crown wheel and pinion. Perfect, and then happy days. Just got a bit too much backlash there. You can hear that backlash rattle there. And it's going to be probably, I'm going to talk old school, I'm going to say it's like probably 10 thou too much. Which means I just need to move the crown wheel this way. So I'll take a shim out of here, and what I take out of here I'll put into this side. And that should be spot on, I reckon. sitting right in the middle of the teeth on the crown wheel, getting a good contact patch, so it, what that allows is for maximum load distribution across a certain contact patch on the teeth. No tight spots? No, that's good. Righto, I'm a little bit excited because the diffs are in and set up, and that's the biggest part about this job when you're doing diffs, is just to get that all done. Now when you're starting from scratch with lockers and pinions and ratio changes and all that sort of stuff, it's, yeah, you got to get it right. So front and rears are done, and that's sweet. We've got new axles to go in the rear, so chrome moly in the rear, chrome moly in the front, and that's just going to toughen it up again as well. So it eliminates axle breakages, because Jeeps have been known to have axle problems or drive shaft problems, if you like. Going to beef those up, that's going to take care of that. And at the end of the day, from a driveline point of view, it's going to be pretty bulletproof. It'll handle the 37s, it'll handle the torture that it cops. One of the things we're going to have to do with it is keep on top of transmission and transfer case oils, because the oils just cop a flog. It doesn't matter what four-wheel drive it is, this thing gets pounded. Like you've seen it on the high country and some of the other videos that he's done. The transmission is working its ring off in this all the time, and it doesn't matter whether it's a D-Max or a BT50, whatever, automatic transmissions in hardcore full driving copper pounding. So keep on top of your oils there. While we're on oils, because we've gone away from the factory E-locker to an ARB locker, we now get the opportunity, and different gear sets and stuff, it gives us the opportunity to run a different spec oil. So we can run a heavier spec oil, if you like, away from what Jeep would normally recommend, which again just complements what we've done in the diff. So we'll be able to just protect all that gear sets and the lockers a lot better. So that's going to happen once we get the covers on, once we get the axles in. We've got a lot of pipe work and electrical to do yet, so all the ARB air locker pipe work, we've got to plumb into the diff and then up to the compressor, and that's got to be done on the front and rear. And then that's got to be have solenoids installed and switched inside the cab, and hopefully, maybe, we'll be able to use the factory locker switches, which would be awesome if we can, because that'll just make it look really, really mint. There are some adapters that we've got to help do that, which sort of tricks the factory computer and stuff to believe that it's still got the Jeep electronics in it. There's been a lot of R&D go into this car. Now, I've said it before, Ruben said it before, you've seen the high country video where we blew up the 532s, so we did 2 sets of those in the back. It wasn't a Jeep problem, it was a gear set problem. So just the gear set was, the pinion was way too small, and our contact patch for our load distribution on the teeth was just not there, and it just sheared them apart. So that was something that we learned. 532s are no good in the Jeeps. We went back to 411s, and although they're tough as, it was struggling with the torque, just with the gear ratio. So we've changed it up to a 488, so we've gone to Dana gear sets in there, which is, I can't see there being any dramas with the gear set that we've got in there now. So 488s, bigger axles, the big wheels, the supercharger, everything on there should be tough enough to cop the pounding that it cops when it's four-wheel driving. So as a four-wheel drive, it's amazing. It crawls up anything, goes anywhere, and just does its thing. I'm really impressed with its ability as a four-wheel drive. Mechanically, a little bit over diffs on it, but hey, that's, like I said, it's R&D. We're learning as we go, trying to get products for these vehicles that we know works, so you guys understand exactly what you need to do to your car if you're going to modify it. I'll be honest, I'm not a Jeep fan, but as a four-wheel drive, I think they're probably one of the most capable off-the-shelf four-wheel drives on the market. So that's where we're headed with that. So in the front of it, Ruben's given us some chrome moly shafts for the front. Now it goes away from the CV joint on the outer to a uni joint on the outer. It's also going to a one-piece shaft on the right-hand side. So these have got the factory locker set up, which had the E-locker and also a shaft lock on the right-hand side. So that's that shaft there. It'll connect to that one, lock itself in, and essentially becomes a diff lock for the front of it. We're going to a one-piece shaft, which does away with that system. We'll go with the air locker in that shaft, and becomes, again, it takes problems out of the equations from an electrical point of view. So, like I've said before, these things, they're so technical, which is great, but they're so technical, which can be a pain in the backside. We'll retune this once we get all this done and set back up. So we'll basically reset the tune for 488 diff gears for the 37-inch tyres, and just get everything right there, because we will need to adjust the speeds and the speedo and so forth to take care of that. A lot of the stuff that we do on these cars, like I said, is for R&D. We do it so you guys don't have to. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into getting these things tested, trying them out, making sure they work, seeing if they don't, all that sort of stuff. It does, it costs money, it gets expensive, makes you sad some days, you get frustrated with it, but that's part and parcel of modifying cars and four-wheel driving. And when you're going to do it hard, things are going to break. So from a BMW point of view, they're prepared to put in the hard yards to get everything right, to understand what works and what doesn't. So just keep an eye on what they do. This thing's going to hit the trails again. Ruben's going to have a solid car underneath him this time round. I'm quite confident, fingers crossed, I'm quite confident that this driveline is going to last and serve him really, really well. So, and that's all from what we've learned. So keep an eye out for this on the trails. Keep an eye out for Ruben. Say good day to him if you see him. And keep an eye out for the Jeep. We do all this stuff in-house here. So at Highfields Mechanical, we take care of all this stuff in-house for him. We you know, look after what he does. It's a journey for us as well. A lot of this stuff we understand and learn as we go. This was the first vehicle to get supercharged and tuned in Australia and quite possibly the world in the 2023 model. So no one else had done that. Still a lot of R&D going into that. All this stuff, we're learning for the future. So cars are changing. We're going to get electric cars, we're going to get hybrid cars, with all this in four-wheel drive and stuff like that. Honestly, I'm a fan. Can't wait to see it all. If we get an F-Truck Lightning, hey, I'm all over it. But we want to learn so you guys understand what's coming and what's going on. And that's just part of how we roll as a business, how BMW rolls as a business, and just to, you know, keep up with what's happening. Well, I hope you liked that video. Make sure you hit subscribe or you're going to get bogged.